right, everyone, welcome to the No Distance podcast. Today, I've got two very special guests, pretty much my two closest friends, Aaron and Hanaya. So, we're gonna start with you guys just introducing yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, ladies first. So,
Oh, ladies first. Okay, my name is Hanaya. I am currently a student at UIC. I'm actually graduating this spring. What else do you want to know?
there's so much more you could say. Just anything.
Anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
just give us a
it's so
60-second
broad.
snippet. 60-second snippet. Who is
What's your
Hanaya?
major? When did you get saved?
Hello.
How many siblings do you have?
How? Just all my personal information.
All of
No,
You have a
so
dog.
I do. Okay, so I major in public policy. I specialize in education policy. So I'm currently working in the schools. That's my passion, just teaching and improving the quality of education. I have a dog. Her name is Sammy. Samantha is her nickname. And
What?
It's the opposite, you know. It's
yeah, because legally her name is Sammy, but we
Right.
call her Samantha. She responds to Samantha.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I have three siblings. Yes, three siblings. Two younger sisters and an older brother. Grew up, I don't know, in the south suburbs slash south side of Chicago. And yeah, it's my life.
Okay, cool. A little bit about you, Mr. Aaron.
yeah. Hey everyone, my name is Aaron. I'm also a student at UIC. I major in computer engineering. This is my beautiful wife on the left of me, and Hanaya. We just recently got married 2 Saturdays ago. Best day of my life, obviously. A little bit about me. I'm also from Chicago. I did live in DC for a few years, but majority of my life I'm from here. I have four siblings. I have two older brothers, two younger sisters. I grew up in church all my life, so many of you may be familiar with the term pew baby. That's kind of what I am as well. And yeah, overall, excited to be here and to kind of go into our conversation. So.
Okay, cool.
Word.
So I am acting like host, but conveniently I've only been on one episode here. So I'm gonna actually introduce myself as well. Michael King. I attend Christ Temple, same church as our normal hosts, Michael and Brittany Pulliam. They're actually my siblings. I also attend UIC. We're gonna get into how the three of us met in a little bit. I'm studying accounting. I will be an accountant at PwC starting in September. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice to have money, you know,
Yeah.
working 10 hours a week on college campus,
Oh.
tutoring. You just have no cash, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be great.
Especially your car always get told.
I was, we could have left that out, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. So great, nice meeting you guys on the podcast. Officially. So let's jump right into how we met because we definitely want to talk about living saved on campus. That's where we're going with this. But let's start off with how did the three of us meet? And I feel like we should start with how you guys met.
Yeah. You wanna
Right.
share?
Yeah. So we actually met our freshman year of college in 2022.
Mhm.
Yes. I think like in May
May
at
5th.
a okay.
Bro is on.
Volunteering with an organization at our university. And we didn't have much interaction. I feel like we probably had like 2 minutes of FaceTime. At least that's what I remember.
I have other versions of the story, but yes, continue.
That's what I recall. And yeah, after that, we both participated in a program where it was like 20 Black students that were selected to stay on campus, build relationships, and like build community. And we both were selected to be a part of the program. And so as we're on the Zoom, it was kind of like an onboarding Zoom. I'm like, oh, that's that boy from the volunteering.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we started like hanging out through the program and we became really good friends after that. So
Yeah. I'll kind of fill in the
Yeah,
gaps
I'm very
a little
interested
bit.
in your version.
Yeah, so like I said, it was May 5th of that year. There was a program through UIC called Chance that we volunteered with their services for. for like a James Jordan Foundation. So Michael Jordan's father's like foundation scholarship program, you call it. They were like giving out awards to different high school recipients throughout the year. So we were able to volunteer. It was actually on a boat at Navy Pier. And I get there pretty early, help us set up, and I see this girl. She had blue hair at the time. And I'm like, oh man, she's pretty cute. I'm like, this is great. But the funny thing is, the reason why we even got a chance to connect or interact is because Michael Jordan was actually there. And for some reason, one of the media guys wanted me to work their camera. So I had a really close angle of seeing Michael Jordan, so I recorded. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right here. Not to be like a fanboy or nothing, but like, just hearing about it and like actually seeing the person. And so after all of it was over, we were supposed to actually take a photo with him. So that's why we all got close. And one of our leaders was like, yeah, he just left the building. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
That was bogus.
But
because that was the sale for volunteering.
That was the
is
sale.
actually
They were like, you could to meet Michael Jordan and talk to him for a few minutes. I'm like, yeah. I'm texting my family, like, I'm about to meet him. So that did not work out, obviously. But she was like, I don't even have no video of him. I'm like, I do. So I'm like, okay, think, what can I do? I'm like, I don't want to be too weird and be like, yeah, what's your number? So I was like, Snapchat. Let's go with that. That was an L.
It was low quality. The video.
It was low quality. It was terrible. But I was
sent through Snapchat.
Oh shoot.
But in my head, I'm like, okay, that's a dub. That's a dub. That's a.
I ain't gonna hold you. It was kind of nice.
I didn't want to be too like forceful. So I was like, yeah. So I added her on Step, and then maybe like a week or two later, one of the other leaders through Chance sends this program out about taking a summer class for 4 weeks and staying on campus. It's like an experiment. It's like a grassroots initiative. And so, yeah, I'm talking to my dad. He was a little like, we'll see. But then once I hopped in the meeting, I saw her name. I'm like, wait, that's the girl I met at Navy Pier. And so at that point, I was like, okay, yeah, definitely. Like, I want to get a chance to just know her and like talk to her.
Bro said, I'm going to the
no. I mean, like, like
I'm gonna be in the class.
Yes. And so my dad was cool for it because he was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Especially because at the time too, I was also really active at my church as a praise team leader, member. And so I was like, yeah, rehearsals, I need to be there more actively. So I was like, this is the best way to be just right there. And so my dad agreed to it. And so, yeah, for like 4 weeks, we were just like doing different events throughout the day. They had us like not only take courses, but then we had to be engaged in other like extracurricular stuff. And me and Hannah just clicked like from day one. And yeah, since then we just been the best of friends, and it's led to this now. So
yeah, but
yeah,
we was homies at the time. So I was like, keep in mind, I was not like, I wasn't saved.
Okay.
Rip the Band-Aid off, plainly. It's like I had a knowledge of God, grew up in a Christian household, but I was definitely like tweaking, for lack of a better term. Okay, I was doing what I wanted to do. So when I'm seeing Aaron, I'm like, he is so cute. Like, I would hurt his feelings. I could not talk to him. Cause I had a lot of, like, I had different stuff going on. So it's like, yeah, he's cool. But I just feel like he's too nice. Like, I don't know. And so I kind of thought about it. And then once I thought I might have had a crush on him, I'm talking to my friend who was my roommate for the summer program. I literally met her at that point. You know who I'm talking about.
I have no clue.
She's my roommate now.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, do you think that Aaron likes me? And she was just like, no, I do not see that at all. And so I was like, okay, well then forget him then. Like, I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm gonna do what I like, I'm like, I don't need that.
Funny thing is, the same friend I asked, I'm like, do you think that Hanaya likes me? No, there's no way. There's no way. So I'm like, well, okay, I just go back to just being a nerd in engineering and just lock in for the rest of my life. So like, when you told me that as we got closer in our relationship, I was just like, wow, okay, well that kind of threw things off for me for a little bit because I definitely at that point was just like, oh, I just guess I'll just be a really good friend.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling stupid because keep in mind, I think the week that we got there, yes, I'm bringing this up.
Oh yes.
There was a young lady there
Yeah.
that everybody was saying that, oh, Aaron likes her. And then it was like this whole love triangle between her and then him and another dude. And I was just like, oh, so like that's your type. Now I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but
No.
I was intrigued. Like I was like, okay, like that's your type. Like cool.
No.
so
Listen.
so
Oh my goodness.
beautiful young lady as well. And so I was just like, okay, and so when Victoria was saying that, it was Victoria. So when she was saying that we're best friends now, that he didn't like me. I'm like, okay, well, I guess putting two and two together,
Yeah.
like, cool, maybe he like other shorty, and I'ma just back off. So we was just really good friends, and he's really nice. So
Aaron's
all the
very
stuff he's
nice.
doing to be nice. I'm just like, just who he is.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking nothing of it. So we grew closely as like a friendship, along with like a couple other people in the program, and I thought that's all it was.
No. To go back to her.
Bro said, no, it was not.
No, I'm going to stop
That's
that
not
immediately.
all it was.
No. So going back, so there was this other girl there who many people were trying to put me with, but I didn't really think of her like that. Like I came into that wanting to make friends, but I met Hanaya originally, and me and Hanaya just clicked a lot more.
Yeah.
Like even when I tried to talk to this other girl just to be like her friend, it was like a forceful thing, like of like trying to get a conversation out of that. And I didn't want to just like have to be the main person talking. And not saying that she had any issues or anything, but I just realized that wasn't me. The rest of everybody in our little group thought the total opposite. They were like, no, I'm betting that Aaron and her are gonna click like week 3. And I'm like, guys, I really don't think this is it. And it got to one point that like the other guy that he was trying to talk to her, like they brought him into my room and was like, Aaron, tell him right now if you're gonna be with her or not. And I was like,
What's going on?
I'm literally like, guys, if you want me to tell her right now, I will. Like, I don't think of her in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, if you want to talk to her, go ahead. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks, man. And then as he left, I'm like, why would you guys do that?
Yeah,
Like, it makes no sense. But like, even as like the program like started to end, like me and Hanaya, like I would be really sad, like when she would go back home, and I'm like texting her, I'm like, when you come back? Like I just want to hang out. Like we were.
That was after 4 weeks.
I mean, but like 4 weeks, like every day, like
When
none
you
of us.
hang out with somebody
like-
every single day.
Like none of us really went home on the weekend, so it was like the weekend that she did, it was just like, wow, like this is what the norm has been, like throughout this whole experiment. So it's kind of weird seeing somebody not be in the group for that day.
I don't know. It's just you've insulted my Riz on a couple of occasions, and so for you to send a text like that, it just.
Well,
We're not gonna go there. We don't have to go there.
It was more in friendship. I'm gonna say, hey, don't look. It was more in the friendship in that point too. It's like like you build like a pretty strong relationship that fast. It's like I want to be able to hang around this person as much as I can.
Yeah.
And so that other situation died off so quick.
Okay.
I was like, no.
So I actually have a question because by the time I met you guys, I know Hanai, you said when you guys met you weren't saved. By the time I met you all, you were very saved.
Yeah.
Had a Bible study going. So walk us through like what was kind of your journey. You can go as much or as little detail as you want. Actually kind of getting saved on campus.
That is a beautiful question. I won't go all the way back, but I feel like setting the stage of like what my first year on campus was like, and then the transition to where I am now is kind of important for context. My freshman year, very much just doing what I wanted to do. Like I was going out every single weekend. I drank a lot. I literally kept bottles of alcohol just in my room just in case. I was like, just in case we need them. I just like it was just normal. And but the funny thing is when I first got to campus, like I was still like doing some things that I wanted to do. I definitely was not abstinent. I had broken up with my boyfriend right when I moved on campus. Literally day one. I moved on campus. I was like, there's a lot going on around these parts, so I might need to free myself up. So I called him, broke up with him. That was a whole situation. I mean, to the point where my mom threatened a restraining order. Like it. So that's how I'm coming into campus. And then I felt like the Lord was calling me to Himself. I really did. It was to the point where like random people on the street will come up to me and just be like, the Lord loves you. And it would happen like frequently to the point where I knew, I was like, I need to get my life right. But at the same time, because Satan is very crafty, someone approached me to join what I later found out to be a cultish organization that completely shattered my trust. Because for me at the time, being very, very new, barely in the faith at all, my first encounter where I'm thinking, okay, God has sent me my community, it completely, just made me go like, God, why would you allow that to happen? I was like, if I'm, trying to find community in Christ and then, a counterfeit gets sent, why did you let that happen? And so I was like, man, forget this. So by October, so mind you, I'm on campus. I feel like the Lord is calling me, right? So you get on campus like August, whatever. I come across this organization by October. And then by the end of October, I found out that it's a cultish organization. It happened quick. I figured it out relatively quickly. And so at that point, I was like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. And so I ended up hooking up with this group of friends. And we're just doing all types of stuff. And that was it. I was looking forward to the weekend every week. And I kind of lived a double life because I was on it with my studies. My grades did not slip. But it felt like a darkness and I was just waiting till the weekend all the time. And that's I could even pick that up myself. I knew it was something wrong because I felt so depressed and it was like, okay, I just need to go to a party. I just need to do this. I just need to like go out, do something. I need to call somebody. I need to text somebody. I did not want to be by myself. I could not be by myself. And honestly, all of us were going through the same thing. We did not want to be alone. We used each other sort of to soothe our the pain that we was going through. And we all had the same problems. Mm-hmm. A lot of us had been abused and mishandled some way sexually. And some of us, I didn't deal so much with the alcohol abuse problem. Some people did. Some people used drugs. And so you have a bunch of broken people. Comparatively, I had my stuff together. Like they would look to me as like, oh, you the woman who got us together in the group. And that's saying a lot. Because I did not have it together. Yeah. But I was the one that had it together in the group because we just all were broken trying to help one another. So that's where I was. I had a really big wake-up call in like January to the point where I just remember like crying on the floor of my bathroom and just being like, God, yeah, I got nothing. Like, because it got to the point where I'm just like, something's got to give. Mm-hmm. And even at that moment, I still didn't get it all the way together. I'll be honest. I was still tweaking a little bit, but I gradually started to go like, what I'm doing is not going to lead me to nowhere good. And so I tried to pull it together on my own. I thought I needed to get myself right before I came to Christ. So I was trying to just, read more. I was trying to find a church, which was a funny journey. But it just wasn't working. So I still found myself falling into the same patterns up until the very beginning of my sophomore year, where I ended up going out for my 20th birthday with my family. I don't know if I got drunk, but I was drinking. And then I went to sleep, and the next morning, I think I woke up, and I started listening to He Saw the Best in Me. I said, Lord, I give up. Literally, I was like, yes, he did. He still loves me. And in that moment, I legitimately, like, in my dorm room bathroom, just surrendered my life to Christ. I think within a couple of weeks, I received the baptism of the Holy Ghost. And after, within the month or so, I think that's when I first visited Aaron's church. And I started going there regularly not too long after that. That was before we started dating as well. So, yeah, that's what happened. And as soon as I got saved, I just started hosting Bible studies. I was not ready. Not ready at all. But I knew even then, because the way that I would be able to like understand scripture and teach, even though I, like I said, was not ready, but I think the Lord allowed it to show me like you have a giftedness here. And then it stopped because I feel like he was like, wait.
Yeah.
And then I picked back up the next year. But literally as soon as it kind of reminds me of the Samaritan woman. Like as soon as I saw like, oh my God, like Jesus, like you are really a comforter. Like God is really my father. And I felt his love. I was like, everybody needs to feel this love. I couldn't keep it to myself. I'm posting flyers on Instagram. I'm like, y'all, like, let's just go meet under the staircase at this table and let's read these scriptures. I'm starting Zooms. Like, I'm just wanting to tell anybody that I can about Jesus because it had never been so real for me before. So yeah, that was my little journey.
Wow, that's great. It
Yeah.
really is. So again, I think I came in. What year did we meet?
2022, 3.
3.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. 2 years. Right. So I'd already been on campus, but I was a commuter, so I had no clue what in the world was going on. And when I finally, the Lord blessed me with a scholarship, and I was like, great, I can move on campus. It's going to be great. You know, don't have to live at home, even though I love my family. It was great to only wash dishes when I was ready to wash them and not have to wash dishes for 10 people. So I was like, I'm definitely moving on campus. And the Lord had put it on my heart to start campus ministry. Unlike you, it was a very different feeling though. You said that you couldn't hold it in. I was like, God, let me hold this in. I'm not trying to do all this. But I felt that tug, and I remember I was coming back to the dorm. I was swiping in, and your roommates were swiping in as well, and one of them was singing a gospel song. Don't ask me what it was, but I was like, hold on, wait a minute, that's gospel. So I was like, and also I love music. So while she was singing, I was like, hey, do you mind if I harmonize with you? Just keys.
Of course, that was the interaction.
That's exactly how the
That's
interaction.
crazy.
That's definitely a Michael.
Yeah, I was like, yo, sing that part. I'm gonna harmonize with you. And she was like, what's going on? Do we have to keep their name secret?
Well,
You know,
I mean,
it's
you
a
already
great
said.
story. So anyway, for context, my friend Sergi, we're great friends now. She was like, I'm not trying to harmonize you, but Christy, another one of your roommates, she was like, oh my God, he's singing Christian songs. And so she was like, you should join our Bible study. And I was low key
out, Christy.
thinking like, you know, I don't really need to join a Bible study. And I didn't know what her faith was because there's a lot of Bible studies, but I was open to the idea. And so I was like, okay, let me get the information. And she said, you should come up to our room. You know. And so I'm like, hey, what? She was like, come on up to our room, we can chat. And I'm like, okay, cool. If two Christian girls are in a room together, it's definitely a Christian dorm room. Which, for context, these are apartments, by the way. It's not like just a room.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Keep that.
yeah, just so you know, this was a very amicable meeting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, okay, I need to stop in my room. I'm gonna change, blah blah blah. I'll be up so we can talk about Jesus.
Can this break to when they come to my room and tell me a strange man is coming in at any moment?
Yeah.
Just wanted to insert that in. I'm sitting on the couch Christy's known for being extremely friendly.
She's very-
So this wasn't shocking to me that another stranger was coming into our room. I'm pretty sure that had happened recently. And I was just like, dude, like, who is this? So I'm kind of irritated because I'm just like, why are you inviting strangers? I gotta be on, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay. Continue, please.
Right. So this is actually hilarious because by the time I get there, Anaya's in the room, Chrissy's in the room, our friend Christian is there. And like I said, I'm just ready to talk about Jesus. So I'm like, hi guys, how's it going? Yada yada yada. Somehow we get on the topic of campus ministry, and I was like, yeah, I feel like the Lord wants me to start a prayer on campus. And I want to call it the experience. So I was like, I want to call it the experience. I want people to come if they don't believe in Jesus. Once they feel him in prayer, they'll definitely, you feel me, come to Christ.
Right,
They need to
right.
feel something. And Christian was very engaging. Christian was pretty engaging. But Hanaya, she was over there on her laptop and she looked up like once. Keep in mind, this is like a 30-minute conversation. She was completely not invested, right? Just typing on her laptop. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I asked them for their opinion. And so Hanaya finally looked up on her laptop because they said Hanaya runs a campus ministry. That's how you ended
Okay.
up.
No, well,
Or has a Bible study.
no.
No. They said that she runs a student organization.
Yeah, a
because you were
registered
running
student org,
a
yes.
registered student org, and so they were like, "Hey, Hanaya runs organizations on campus. Ask for her opinion." So I asked, and she was like, "So," she looks up, very blank face. She's like, "So, the concept. So say you start the experience." She was like, I think you really need to flesh out this idea because what's going to draw people in? It doesn't seem like, you're just coming to pray. By all means, do it. Do what the Lord's calling you, but you definitely need
I definitely can hear her voice.
to
man.
plan it out, figure out what's your actual mission, write all these documents and stuff. And I was like,
So, okay, let me give you my perspective as white. And okay,
good advice, by the way. But
you talking to somebody that was in a very culted organization. Okay, so I'm already skeptical.
yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know what type of experience you're coming in with. You feel me? So I'm trying to listen and hear it. And it wasn't necessarily any red flags, but I was like, okay, like, what are people experiencing?
Yeah.
Is this man, you could have been a witch for all I know.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just trying to gauge
Yeah.
what we talking about. Clearly it was fine, but I didn't know. And so I'm just, I can be a little critical. It wasn't you per se, but I'm just trying to make sure. And then also registered student organizations on campus, like the Christian ones, sometimes they be tweaking or they start good and the leadership changes. So I'm like, if you're trying to register a prayer experience and then like, what does that look like when you leave? Are you trying to keep it going when you got here? Those was the things going through my mind.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
very, very great information she was giving. But yeah, that was an interesting point because I was open to being friends with anybody, but it's interesting that we went from there to now, for practical purposes, being best friends. Because how did we end up talking after that? Aaron, I kind of knew. I knew of Aaron because Aaron attends Apostolic Faith Church, which we're pretty affiliated with, loosely, but we're affiliated with his church.
Yeah.
And I had seen him before at different services. So when I found out that they were talking, I was like, okay, Aaron's saved, she's saved. I'm down to hang out with these people, have friends on campus that are saved. So we just started like having study sessions.
Yeah.
It was study sessions, and then I just feel like you'd randomly come in our room for things. You guys have salt.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
It would be your salt though. Okay, that I will say. Like we would take things I feel like it wasn't we. I feel like it was more so my roommates, but nonetheless, we take things out of your room. But somehow it was always something in our room that you needed to come get, or they were asking you to take them to the grocery store.
That's what it was. I remember now. So Christy was my first link to you guys' room. Christy was super nice. I have a car on campus because I took some time off.
It's a
college.
blessing and a curse to have a
It
car.
is. It is. I took time off to work, so I had bought a car before coming back to school. And so after me and Chrissy hit it off, I was like, "Hey guys, if you ever need to go to the store, just let me know. We can roll." And they took me up on that offer.
Yeah,
So they'd be like,
really-
"Hey Mike, is it okay if we go to Cermak to get water?" And I was actually very down for this because I feel like a good way to establish friendships is the Bible says, he who wins friends has to show himself friendly, right? So I was completely down for it, and it did strengthen our relationship a lot. And so, but I did have a caveat. I did have a caveat. I'll take you grocery shopping, but when dinner is made, I would like to have a plate. So I was coming up to you guys' room. After driving them around the city, they would cook and be like, "Hey, Mike, the food is ready. You can
Yes.
come out." So I was always up there eating or
It's still the same way now.
To this day.
Like last night, literally, I made some enchiladas and I was like, "Hey guys, food will be ready in 10 minutes."
Yeah.
Bet. First person. I just pulled out the oven 30 seconds before he gets there. I'm ready for my plate.
Hey, you said it was done, so I ran upstairs.
I'm still trying to figure out how we became friends. I don't recall how that happened.
I think, and not to jump in, but I think really it was through the study sessions. Cause I know like there would be sometimes, cause I was still commuting, but I would stay late sometimes to just get homework done. And so I would be like, "Hey," I knew Mike pretty close at the time too. So I was like, "Hey Mike, we're gonna study, me, Hanaya, and like Christy or whoever, just come in and hang out with us in that way too." And so at those points, it'd be like pretty late study sessions, and we would just be talking about nothing or just cracking up about random things. So like, I think that was like one of the real dynamics between you guys getting along, because it was like, you all kind of just knocking up.
Either that or you just randomly being in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say also that because when I would come up, sometimes y'all would cook late, so it would be like 9 p.m. and then I knew that I had homework, so I would bring my laptop up, right, and we would be just kind of studying, kind of not, kind of talking, kind of not. After you do that so many times, you just get close, and then it got to a point where we were doing study sessions.
Movie
Obviously.
nights.
Right, and then started doing movie nights. So one thing led to another. I think we woke up, we're very close friends. But I want to talk a little bit more about that campus ministry aspect because we ended up doing a lot on campus. And I feel like most young adults who go into college very close to the Lord, one way or another, they kind of have that passion, that desire, whether it's a club or not, but they want to help people get saved. So I kind of want to talk about what our journey looked like. And I'll start because I know for me, I felt the burden, but I did not want to do it because it felt very awkward for me to... It's one thing to get people who are already saved in a room, right? It's something very different trying to get people who are not saved in a room, but also not trying to be weird on campus. And so when I had the tug, I was definitely fighting it. I was definitely not trying to do too much with it. So we kind of just want to talk a little bit about that. So the prayer thing that the Lord had put on my heart, I did one.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half ago, right? Not that many people came at all. And so I was kind of feeling a little discouraged, and I did not do it again, I think, at all that year.
I just want to interject that you're not the best with marketing. So whilst I understand that you were discouraged, that's valid. You also felt
It was like 30 minutes before.
No, I posted something on Instagram. I definitely
30
posted
minutes
like
before.
It was like 3-4 days before.
No, it's not.
And I even said, because I was in a group chat of some dudes that I was I had taken a class with. They were really rowdy. But I was like, who all coming to this? And a couple of them like, I'm gonna try to make it. Didn't show up. So I was like, this is a lot of effort um, for a low turnout. So I definitely abandoned that idea for a year. But still felt like the Lord was definitely calling me to do that. And just being around and supporting the Bible study, it was encouraging for me being around other students because I'm like, okay, they're keeping up with what God is telling them to do. Let me actually do that as well. So we did finally start having the prayer again, and we started a lot of other things. We have a worship night on campus now. We have still the Bible study, still the prayer. We've gone out evangelizing once or twice. So God is moving, but what was that journey for you guys? How did you stay consistent, and how did you combat any desire to not do it or any feeling of like being weird, if that makes sense? I don't know if I'm asking this question.
Yeah. You want me to?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have no fear with that. And I think the reason why I had no fear is because I had already started my organization my freshman year, and I had an idea that that a lot of people were like, this is great, but I don't think it's gonna work. And so I'd already experienced the sort of like, confronting rejection, going up to our highest level administrators and saying, hey, I have this idea that I didn't even start yet, but I want you to believe in it and support it. And so trying to convince somebody of my vision my freshman year, even if it was in a completely different context, I feel like that prepared me when it came to doing ministry, because it's like, if you don't come, okay. Like if you don't like my idea, that's okay. Like that part didn't scare me. Also, keep in mind when I was in that cultish organization, I had to do cold contact evangelism against me wanting to.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of kind of, any fear, any hesitation, like I wasn't concerned. And so, like I said, sophomore year, once I did get saved, I started right away. I was like, all right, I'm just going to start talking to people about the word, because this is the truth. Why do I got to be afraid to talk about the truth?
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing the Bible studies. I took a break from it. Like I said, I joined crew at our university, and started joining their Bible studies weekly, because one of my friends, who's Christy, who's my roommate, she came to my Bible study, invited me to go to crew, started getting engaged with them, and being pretty active with their campus ministry. And then the following year, my junior year, I was talking to Christy actually, and I was like, we want to do like a faith and femininity is what we called it, where we particularly talk about topics affecting young women in a Christian context and have it be biblically based. And then I was like studying a Bible, and I was like, I should have a Bible study. It was like right at the beginning of the year. And I just started texting people to come to my room, and we had the Bible study. And then I just kept doing it. Yeah. And that's pretty much how that started. So as far as just like overcoming that hesitation, it was, I think once it formalized, I was like, oh. Like, that's where I started to get nervous just about my ability. I didn't feel like, I'm like, am I equipped enough to do this? Do I have what it takes to, facilitate a Bible study? That was my concern. But then I was just like, you know what? The Lord, He's going to lead me. Yeah. And I had to really lean into prayer and Him giving me the, strength, wisdom, whatever, and just say, Lord, speak through me. And I think that's what gave me the confidence to just, keep doing that. So.
Yeah. Kind of echo her thing. And I don't know if I really got a chance to, like, talk about how coming on campus I was. But again, I grew up in church all my life. So certain things I knew. I've been around. My dad would take me and my siblings, my brothers around as he would evangelize, like street preaching and stuff. So I knew all the different, like, concepts of, like, evangelizing. But I think once I came on campus, there was a bit of fear, because it was like, I'm here by myself. Yeah. Like, I have two older brothers. They both went to schools within the city. One went to Columbia, the other one went to Roosevelt. And so, like, I heard their journeys of how they were like, going out and just, teaching or preaching the word in that way. But it was like for me, like being the youngest boy, it was just like, oh my goodness, like I'm actually out here by myself. And so one of the things though that I do thank God for is that even during like my first year was like I was finding different friends, like some of my roommates now, who were also trying to go deeper in their faith too. So a lot of like my friendships became a little bit easier for me to be like, okay, I can actually talk about God a little bit more comfortably or just be a little bit more like proud in this way because there's other people who are in the same boat as me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like just kind of having that. And then towards the end of freshman year, meeting Hanaya, even during the program, like one of the things that brought us really close together, just her and our other friends, is that we would just talk about God late night. Like after we watch a movie or something, it'd be like 1 or 2 a.m. And we're just like, yeah, so like, what do you guys think about like Jesus when he was walking across the water? Like, how do you think Peter like reaction was when he saw that? And, like, it was like random stuff. I'm just like, yeah, like, okay, I could really see a community being built here.
Yeah.
And so by the time sophomore year hit, kind of having some again those friendships and just that confidence. I think even before me and Hanai started dating, like we would just be on the phone talking about like Bible study stuff all the time. And I remember when she was just starting to do hers, I felt really like convicted to tell her like, hey, I know that you're starting this up, but I really want you to understand that like when you do this, this is like a very sensitive thing that can change somebody's life forever. And like as I was telling her that, I'm like, okay, she's doing that. I need to be more proactive in it too. Like, cause I have friends that know it, but like she's bold enough to talk to everybody about this. And I was like, as I sent that message to her, I'm like, what am I doing? So at that point, I started just like asking God to just like give me opportunities to evangelize or to reach people on campus. And later on that year, like a vision came to my mind about praise in the park. It was like end of sophomore year. I was like talking to her and I about it. This was before we started doing the Bible studies, like in her room, like she said. And I was just like, what if we do a praise in the park? Like, what if we just like gather around different spots around the city and just like worship and sing? Because I play music and I've sing, and like
I thought Praise in the Park that came after.
no, that came after it, but I was envisioning it, is what I'm saying. So this was like something that like the Lord gave me a whole year in advance to like talk about and think about it. So, but yeah, once we started doing our Bible studies and like it really started to help me to reach those people. By the time May came of our junior year, like it was like the perfect time to launch Praise in the Park. And that's where I really feel like God was beginning to speak to me about being like an impact on campus. Because then not only did we take it from there, but went to Millennium Park but hundreds of people are walking by us and we're just like singing and like speaking the word of God and praying over people. And at that point I was like, okay, this is what he's told me all the way back freshman year of like, don't be afraid. Like I'm building you up in certain areas so that you could see what I had and planned for you all along. And so, yeah, now today, I mean, I have conversations with like all different religions of just like, hey, just come check it out. If you ever like feel free to, or if you ever have free time or just, have any questions, I'm here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like.
I just want to point out, like, in listening to our 3 stories, our intro into campus ministry was very different in different types of ministries. Michael's prayer, Aaron's was discipleship, and then mine was teaching. And I think that's very interesting.
It is.
But it's so beautiful how like God brought those 3 different things in. And so. Yeah.
I think a big takeaway that I get, not just from what we said, but looking at our friendship over time, is just how important it is to be open about your faith, which, especially for people who grew up in the faith, it can be hard to do because you don't want to be stigmatized and you don't really know what the alternative is. So your only perspective is just that I'm that Christian kid that's always kind of weird, always not going to the parties, always that. And so you you grow up with that and you start to almost stigmatize yourself beyond what other people do to the point where you almost want to close off, and it's a struggle for you to stay open about your faith. But it's so important to be open about your faith because the thing about other Christians are we don't know who else is saved unless you show that. So there can be people in your circle right now at your job on your floor who are saved, but they don't connect with you because neither one of you is showing it. But if you'll be open about your faith, others who are saved around you can begin to come to you. And one of the strongest things that we had on campus was a firm group of people who love the Lord.
Yeah.
We're at least for the first year, it was at least like 7 of us. Now it's like 15 of us. And just having that community of other people who love the Lord, it makes it so much easier to stay grounded. But part of that is you being willing to sing a gospel song when you're checking in, right? Instead of purposely holding that in because you don't want people to know, right? We would have never met if Sergi wasn't singing her song loud and proud. So, and that's one of the tricks I feel like that the enemy uses is trying to get you to believe that you have to shield off who you are. You have to let your light shine, which I think sometimes we use as an excuse to definitely don't talk about God, but be a good person and people will just pick up on it. No, be open about who you are because you're not only encouraging others to be open, but those who are reserved in their faith will come to you. And now you've got a community that you can grow. So that was a big takeaway for me in these past 2 years. Yeah.
I feel like for me, not like I said, I grew up in a Christian household. As far, like my mother, she gave her life to Christ, like really in a serious way. Probably when I was like, I don't know, probably like 10 or so. And I saw her, so I knew I had an awareness of God. I knew He was real. I never doubted that, but my faith was kind of like, like it was like my mom had faith for me in a way. But because I was able to go through my journey, I understand what it's like to be lost. And I had a heart for especially young women, really anybody who's just experiencing a lot of pain. And on college, you have a lot of people that are like leaning on one another to soothe their pain. You have people that are leaning on one another through what they perceive to be like, radical advocacy. You all are come together on this one issue maybe. And it's nothing wrong if y'all want to advocate for what you believe in, but maybe that's the thing that you all do. Maybe y'all come together and smoke weed. Maybe y'all all come together for, I don't know, a common sorority or fraternity or whatever that thing is. It don't necessarily got to be a bad thing, but you are finding community in different ways, but really what we're seeking is the love of Christ. And people don't know that. And so once I saw that, I was able to see like, wow, y'all are all confused and looking and seeking for something. Everybody, in any circle you go into in college, because people will find their people. They're all searching for Christ. And that's really the biggest thing for me, especially with young women. You get to college, maybe you have this newfound freedom where you feel like you get to explore and learn more about yourself. And oftentimes that's you finding yourself in really dark situations. And I just want to call out to them and just be like, look, you don't have to do these things. You don't have to seek validation in these areas. You don't have to heal yourself, quote unquote, in this way. Like there is true peace and healing in Christ. You don't have to search for the next thing, the next high or whatever. Like you can really feel complete and whole just by yourself in your room. And a lot of people have never experienced that in their life. There was a while where I did not experience that. I had to be on the phone with somebody. I had to be doing something in order to feel satisfied. And so my biggest takeaway would be just pushing on the burden. If there's someone who is saved on a college campus, reach out to those people and also try to connect with individuals that you may not have thought you would connect with. If you are in a certain organization that's, you're based on your major or interest, connect with those people, build relationships so that you can, just be authentically, like have an authentic relationship It don't necessarily have to be like, all right, let's open up to Acts. Like you could just
Yeah.
talk to them, see how they're doing, and they'll trust you, and then you can kind of bring them in and minister to them in an authentic way, in an organic way. So yeah.
Yeah. And then I think another thing too is just like remember that like once you have accepted Christ and like really truly allowed him to be Savior in your life and he fills you, that you have his light. And so like in the case that you ever feel discouraged, like I felt discouraged in certain cases, but understand that his light will outshine any depression or any like discouragement in my life. That and on top of that, that his light will attract people. It helps me to be like confident in knowing that he's with me and I'm able to like be what he wants me to be and like answer the call because it, like you know it's just something that really like it really encourages me because I will just be very short. One of our friends, he's been coming to our Bible studies recently, and what was that Thursday? He pulled me to the side. And he was just like, you know, Aaron, like I really trust you, and I'm like. I want to bring this thing up to you, and I just want to get your thought on it. And I was thinking in the moment, I was just like, here it is. You know, I'm looking back freshman year, I'm like, I don't think anybody would really trust me with certain things or just like think that I'd be their go-to person. But I see that it was the Lord allowing me to be like a leader on campus and just be overall like somebody that he can trust for me to give them what he wants me to say. And so seeing that, I was just like, wow, like Lord, thank you for allowing people to trust me with what you've placed in me, which is to be able to lead them and to help grow with them and you. And so he was just telling me about some things and like, I'm not going to go into detail what he said, but I was just like, you know, this person that you're concerned about, pray for them or ask the Lord to help them in their situation like you needed him when you were reaching out to him. Like, you know, because we can't overlook or like overthink that person's journey. Like, even though we're here now, like that person needs that experience too. So we can't overlook and be like, well, I made it here and I don't need to worry about that. Somebody else, like Hanai said, is like trying to find different things in different ways. But we have to thank God that he's allowed his light to shine in us to be able to reach and to be able to touch them too. So, yeah.
All right, so our producer / my brother-in-law has informed us that we're way over time. So, we got just a couple minutes left. So I want to ask you guys, give me, each one of you, 60 seconds of advice for that college student who just made it on campus. How do they stay saved? How do they stay motivated in Christ?
Go ahead.
Okay. Find community. Know what it is that ask God to reveal to you his truth and stay rooted in it. I think it's really easy to just be swayed either way or get caught up in different things. But as long as you know what you believe and you also like ask God to send you people who are like have a genuine heart for him, that really will take you a long way. It's been moments where I've been in dark places or maybe hadn't picked up my Bible in a while, haven't prayed in a while, but I have people around me that are always go talk about the Lord. And that's going to convict me. That's going to encourage me to continue that walk. So having those people will take you a very long way.
That's good.
Yeah, and I would just say, I echo a lot of the things you said, but I think one of the biggest things for me is just to ask the Lord to be lost in him. Like, I think if you find yourself lost in his goodness and just his love, it will help you to not be distracted by the things surrounding you, like different groups that may have more secular things that obviously aren't of him or just other parties and things. Those things won't be like pleasing in your sight. Something that I've noticed recently is that for me, like when I used to listen to a lot of like music because I'm a music head, but something that I asked the Lord is just for me to get lost in him. So those things start to like slowly fade and I began to just keep my mind focused on him in that way. So in your own way, ask him to allow you to be lost in him so that those things won't get to you while you're on campus.
Yeah, that's good. All right, my 60 seconds. Very similar to what they said. Ask the Lord for a community and ask him to send people that you genuinely click with. I think one of the best things about our relationship and the people that we're in a circle with, we're not just friends because we're saved. That was a big part of it because I like 80% of our conversation was the word. We were going back and forth, but we genuinely click. Like our humor is similar. Just so much that bonds us together. So asking God for community and to send people that you enjoy being around will help. But then also, I'm sure you know this being saved, but you have to stay prayerful because even with the best community, temptation is going to come. You need to stay prayerful. You need to stay in your word. So doing that daily, I think, is really important. So that's all the time that we have. We can sit here and talk all day. Hope you guys enjoyed the hour long. We're gonna call it a special. It's a special today.
It
you
is
feel me?
special.
As we're mildly congested.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Need to blow my nose real bad. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the podcast though. And well, we won't, but Michael and Brittany will catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.